Hi, everybody. This is your BPM coach. Today, I'm going to show you how to open MS Visio. Visio is, amongst others, process modeling tools. Most organizations, especially when they just start out with business process management or process mapping, tend to use MS Visio. I think it's one of the more affordable packages as well, per license. So yeah, it's quite a good tool to use. It's adequate to get a lot of your process mapping done, and provided that you obviously have a repository where these processes will be housed at the end of the day. Okay, cool. So as you can see, I've opened Visio, so you need to procure yourself a license. You can find, you can go on the internet and just search for MS Visio, and then you'll be able to, you will be taken through the process to get your license. So once you have your license, open Visio. Here you can see that it's open. I'm gonna click on open a basic diagram. Let's do metric units, because we're not in the US, but if you're in the US, you could have chosen that. And we go create. We will be doing a BPMN 2.0 model. It's one of the popular modeling notations that we have these days. So you'll see now that your template is open, your screen is open. You're gonna go on to more shapes, and you're going to go on to business flowchart. Sorry, business, sorry, guys, business process. And then you will see your, sorry, man, where's that? Oh, sorry, guys, sorry. You're going to go to flowchart. So we were right. Then you go to your BPMN basic shapes, open that up. We all make mistakes, okay? And there you go. So now you'll see your basic shapes on the left-hand side. What we always start with is your pools or your lanes. So you'll see here that there's an object called pool lane. So, drag and drop that onto your canvas. I'm going to drop 3 of them on there just so that we can, get started. 2 and 3. There you go. Perfect. So now I'm just going to move them a bit to my objects. I've selected all of them, and then I just move them to the right, and then I just make my lanes a bit bigger. So you click on the link, click on the lane, and you just drag it to the bottom. Okay, cool. Now I always like to give my process a name. So I'm going to select the text box. So you'll see here under cross-functional flowchart, there's text, and then I will just drop the text here, and I will just type process name, and I will say hire new employee. Let's assume that this is a hiring process, and you can just right size it. Again, just move everything a bit to the right so that you can just have everything in one canvas. Move it to the left. There you go. To the bottom, maybe. Yep. And you can move your process name. Guys, now we have everything on one canvas. So because the hiring of a new employee is typically a function that is fulfilled by HR, the recruiter sits in HR or could sit in HR, the recruitment manager, etc. Then you have on your left-hand side where you can collectively, excuse me, guys, you can collectively refer to the human resources team. So let's say this here was the recruiter, then you just name them the recruiter. Guys, can you see how easy Visio is? You literally double click on the object in the text, and then you can name it. So call this the recruitment. Let's call it the human capital business partner. And then let's call the next one the recruitment manager. Okay, we start this process for argument's sake. Let's say the start event is the fact that the candidate has signed the offer, so they've definitely given the go ahead that they they are joining our company, and they will be they're accepting the employment. So let's say candidate accepted offer. Again, guys, you can see it's so easy to work with Visio. It's literally dragging your objects from the left, moving them onto your canvas, and then just continuing there. Let's put the first task there. Let's say this task and your arrow. So we need to have an arrow. Let's say this task, and I'm going to number it. I don't like numbering tasks, but for purposes of this demonstration, let's number our task. Let's say the recruiter needs to notify stakeholders of candidate acceptance, right? So, I mean, they know now that this guy is definitely joining the company. They need to notify the hiring manager. They need to notify the HCBP. They might need to notify IT as well, so that when this guy starts, their equipment and all the stuff that they will need will be ready, the access cards, etc. So notify stakeholders of candidate acceptance. Then, and maybe let's say that's via email, so we can do that and say we go to the task. So let's take a step back. So you right click on this, then you'll get a text here called task type, which gives you then a couple of menu items. And then if this is done via email, then you'll say send. So it's an email that this recruiter will type to notify the stakeholders that the candidate has accepted the offer. Once they've done that notification, let's go back to our basic shapes on the far left, our menu, select another task. Let's assume that this task is to capture the new hire basic details on the HR system. And we're not going to give that HR system a name. We're just referring to the HR system. And again, we need to connect because from step one, we flow into step two. Here we can maybe look for, because it's a user input, can you see there? Again, you click on the task type, right click on it, and then you see that sort of activities there. And this is a user activity that happens on the system. If you want to, you can actually put a data store here as well. So here we go. And maybe let's call that then the HR system. You know what I mean? Then we can remove it here. So we don't want to repeat ourselves. We don't want to say capture new hire basic details on the HR system, and then we show the HR system object at the bottom of that. So let's remove the duplication, and let's say, so that's that. So let's associate the two. So I'm associating this activity with the systems object, and I see that I'm running out of space. So I'm just making my swim lane a bit bigger. Okay, that's it. So now the basic details have been captured on the system. Once this recruiter is done with capturing the basic details, let's say the next actor was the human capital business partner. So you guys know a business partner typically sits in the business. So if it was in, for example, operations, if it was in IT would have a business, or the shared services would have a business partner, but a whole lot of divisions. If you think of banking, that's a good example. So your banks typically have a retail and business banking division. They have a private wealth division. They have, they've got all these divisions in the bank. So a business partner is then typically assigned to be the face of HR for each of those businesses. So that's just the context for this. So the recruiter has captured the new hire basic details, and let's say the business partner now has to review those details. So we're going to create an object, a task for the business partner, and call it task number 3, review basic review new hire details. And again, let's just connect this up. So from activity 2 to activity 3, you can do it this way. You can do it any way. Usually companies write rules for how they need to do the connectors. And let's say they would also do it on the HR system. Now, guys, you don't have to drag an object from here again and, call it HR system, blah, blah, blah. You can simply do a copy of what you already have and just paste it, just paste it underneath since it's the same system. And let's associate it. Okay, there it's associated. At this point, everything is looking a bit too blue for me. So let's make the HR system, let's give it another color just so that our systems maybe, have a slightly different color. Let's maybe make that in the text. Yeah, okay. Then make it blue, maybe the text. Yeah, there we go. And then we continue. And here I'm going to show you how to use your first your most popular gateway. So step 3 is we're reviewing the new hire details, right? Now, obviously, when you review the details, you might find that they are correct or that they are not correct. So that's when we get to situations or scenarios like that, you have to make use of a gateway, and this will be our exclusive gateway. I like to use it with a marker. I know that some companies, allow for you not to put a marker there. The marker is the X, but everywhere I've worked and consulted, we always use the marker. So then you can double click on your gateway and ask your question. Let's say basic, new hire details correct. Let's just call it new hire details correct. Then obviously your answer will be yes or no. If yes, let's assume that the first one is yes. Then it's going to be activity 4, then approve new hire. Let's say that's the activity that they have to do. They also have to do it on the HR system. Let's do the association. Guys, can you see how easy it is? Okay. We're doing your very first process model. So once it's approved on the HR, it's approved on the HR system. Otherwise, it could, so it's a yes. So is the new hire details correct? Say yes, Y for yes. Otherwise, if it was not correct, okay? If it was not correct, let's just say they would end it here. I'm just trying to save space, though logically, I know you guys, you know that they would have to reject the details on the system, but from a space perspective, let's maybe end it here. Just terminate that here. We're going to run out of space. You get the concept though. So if the new hire details were not correct, so it's a no, then we end the process. That we're just taking a shortcut to save a bit of space here. But in the real world, if it was a no, then we would have had a activity 5 here where the recruiter would, in fact, let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm going to take another object here. So it's a no. And then we go here. Let's just say reject new hire. And let's make this one then number 5 where they approve the new hire. Okay, let's create our space because that rejection is also happening on the system. So let's do this. Again, it's on the HR system. Okay, HR system. And then let's do an association there to associate activity 4 with the HR system. There we go. That's how you do it. Okay, maybe we want to have a neat diagram. So let's just move out all these other ones. And let me then introduce an end here. Otherwise, we're gonna go off on a bit of a tangent, which will take away from the basic or the fundamental that we're trying to teach. So let's just end here. If this has been approved, then the next actor is the recruitment manager. Let's then say the recruitment manager would then have to sanction the rest of the process, you know, like authorize, let's say step 6, authorize um, final, what can we say? Come on, recruiters. Authorize final offer to employee, to candidate. We call him a candidate. And maybe this will then interface into another process. Let's just interface. We will do a sub process here. And I don't know what that process would be called, but maybe it is, let's say, onboarding of employee. New hire, okay? So it's a sub process. In your mind, imagine you had to double click on this object, then it will open up a new process map where it shows all the activities, all the actors and the swim lanes, all the systems involved in the onboarding of a new hire. That's how you should visualize it. So guys, this is how you would go about doing a basic BPMN 2.0 process diagram in Visio. Super easy. Once you are happy with your process, you need to obviously save it. So you click on the save icon on your far left and give your process an actual name. Let's see if this will allow. So save as, and maybe on your desktop. And you can then call that, hire new employee. And maybe this is your version 0.1 because you still need to send it out to others in the organization to maybe review, to comment on, to sign off on, etc. And that is basically your first process. And this is how you use Microsoft Visio. Super easy. I hope you guys have found this very insightful. I'm here to coach you with your processes. This is a basic process map, guys. We actually do more advanced processes, but I think for now, this is good. So thank you.